I've beat the entire base game of Fallout New Vegas using the Compliance Regulator already in a previous video, but sadly that character has since been corrupted. This time around, I'm going to be trying out the Old World Blues DLC, and considering I didn't want to cheat and just spawn in the gun and give myself XP, we're going to be going back to Honest Hearts by extension to pick up the gun since that's where you get it. So, that asks the question, if you can beat Fallout New Vegas' Old World Blues DLC using only the Compliance Regulator. Before we jump into this though, today I wanted to announce that I'm doing the first giveaway on this channel. All you guys really need to do is just drop a comment. Next upload, I'm going to be going through the comments and just putting them into a random number generator and picking out the winner that way. As for what the giveaway entails, I'm going to be giving away a PS5 copy of the game Spider-Man 2. I know not all of you may have a PS5, but it's just what I had on hand to use for a giveaway at the moment, and I'm kind of using this to test the waters and see how giveaways do and really work, since I've never really done anything like this, whether it's for YouTube or anything else. I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope to see lots of people participating. Enjoy the video. As much as you all would love to see me suffer through the entire base game again with the Compliance Regulator, I'm not going to be doing that this time. I will, however, be going back to Honest Hearts, since I have to go pick up the gun again, but first things first, we need to create a character. I'm not going to be giving myself any XP, which means that I'm going to be severely underleveled for Old World Blues. This build is going to be focusing purely on energy weapons and hopefully as many crits as I can get. For some reason, I picked Lockpick as one of my tag skills today. I really didn't know why when I was going back through my recording, but then it hit me for one very specific door in Old World Blues, and that is the only reason I picked Lockpick. As for traits, I just went with Fast Shot and Skilled. Considering the Compliance Regulator isn't really an inaccurate gun to begin with, and I need to pump out as much damage as I can, I figured the extra fire rate would help, especially with paralyzing enemies. Now, considering I have no way of getting the gun in base game unless I use console commands to spawn it in, I just grabbed some supplies and then immediately started beelining it towards the strip, and of course, by extension, Honest Hearts. I figured I would stop and pick up a few things on the way. Of course, I'm not going to be killing anything, I'm just running past everything and hoping that I don't get harassed by enemies too much. It was quite an eventful trip. I got bullied by powder gangers, I got bullied by cazadors, deathclaws, fiends, pretty much everything. I did abuse the NCR and the fiends by making them just kind of kill each other. I lured a bunch of the fiends to NCR soldiers so that they would get unalived and I could pick up their bodies for free shit to sell to the gunrunners once I made it over there. I stopped by, sold everything that I had to the gunrunners to stock up on some caps for when I came back from Honest Hearts, as I would really need the caps for ammo early on, considering the Compliance Regulator with a energy skill of 100 using regular energy cells does a whopping 8 damage. See, the main draw of the Compliance Regulator is that it paralyzes enemies on critical hits. Now this is mostly meant to be paired with other weapons, I assume, as you would, paralyze an enemy and then just hotkey to a different weapon to finish them off because they're paralyzed on the ground for 10 seconds and basically can't fight back or hurt you. Now that would be fantastic, except for the fact that I'm not allowed to use anything else during this run. So I'm pretty much stuck with a weapon that does 8 damage. This is worse than a 10mm pistol, this is worse than a varmint rifle, this is worse than the damn kitchen knife. The Compliance Regulator is practically useless because I can't use its main gimmick as an advantage with other weapons. But ignoring that, I'm sure I can find a workaround, as I've already done the entire base game, which, as I recall, wasn't really that bad. I don't remember if I fought the Brotherhood in that video, and I'm too lazy to go back and check, but if I did, I'm sure it was absolutely wonderful, although I highly doubt it considering it would pretty much be doing 1 damage through their power armor. Honest Hearts was pretty boring. I'm not even going to really cover most of what I did here, considering all I did was just ignore everything, walk to the cave that the Compliance Regulator is in, get blown up, and then pick up the gun so that I could start the run. Of course, I would actually have to be killing things in Honest Hearts, as I can't really beat the DLC without killing anyone, so that meant that I had to go off to the Sorrows camp so that I could kill Daniel and get the map to lead the DLC. Daniel nearly killed me immediately, which was insanely surprising to me, but then I remembered I'm in a DLC at level 2 with probably one of the worst damage dealing weapons in the entire game. Now, for some reason, it broke the dead horse's damage threshold, which surprised me because it does like 5 damage here, considering my energy weapon skill wasn't really upgraded. But moving past that, I think I only killed like 6 or 7 people in Honest Hearts before I just fast traveled back to the entrance of the DLC and left. Then I went back to the Mojave, killed an NCR deserter, which also had his damage threshold broken by the gun. Again, don't know how, considering the NCR Trooper armor is a lot stronger than 5 or 6 damage, but I headed off to the Silver Rush so that I could stock up on ammo for the Compliance Regulator. Energy cells are actually something that's pretty plentiful to come across in New Vegas because of the workbench system. You can buy microfusion cells and electron charge packs, and then just turn those into small energy cells. I wish Fallout 4 kept this system, or at least had some sort of ammo system where you could make different versions of ammo, like armor-piercing rounds, because that was really cool, and it's probably one of my favorite things about New Vegas, because it adds a lot of variety to the game. I spent way longer in the base game just stocking up on ammo than I realistically should have. I mean, I was probably here for an hour and a half, just getting enough ammo to last a little bit of Old World Blues. And I'm not gonna lie, I severely underestimated the amount of ammo that I was gonna need. I ended up having to spend a lot of time, spoiler alert, stocking up on ammo in the DLC, which is kind of depressing. But anyways, moving on, I finally made it to Old World Blues after screwing around and just restocking on supplies for about an hour. This, of course, was just a terrible idea. I mean, I was like level 4 by the time I got here, level 4, level 5. I had next to no stats. I mean, my energy weapons skill wasn't even maxed out yet. I think I had to do like the first 1 or 2 quests here before I actually got it maxed out, which meant that I wasn't even doing 8 damage by the time I left the think tank. I did spend some time around here looting and got some funny dialogue, and bought as much ammo as I could. And extension, you know, the ammo that I could just convert into small energy cells, and got into my first fight with some lobotomites on my way to the antenna array. See, I was doing really well, and I thought I was going to be perfectly fine, and then I got jump scared by a Y-17 trauma override harness, and promptly pissed myself and just ran into the array. So they followed me inside, which was also terrifying, so I just kind of had to keep going in and out and killing lobotomites and the trauma override harnesses, both of which wouldn't aggro to each other and fight each other for some reason. I'm not sure why. I would assume that they would fight each other. I don't know why the game flags them as allied, but you know what? We're just going to ignore it. I picked up the antenna and then tried to parkour my way down the tower, which didn't work, so I just let the game teleport me back to the think tank. I was being extremely lazy with this run, mostly because I don't really like the quest structure of Old World Blues. I love the DLC itself. I love Old World Blues for exploring and just kind of hanging out in and doing all the side content, because in my personal opinion, the main quest for Old World Blues is extremely boring. It's basically just glorified fetch quests and dialogue. It's quite literally dialogue the game when you start the DLC if you don't just either skip through it or force the think tank to, start the conversation with Mobius. I think it's like 15 or 20 minutes of just uninterrupted dialogue if you actually go through with it, which I mean, it's funny, it's good dialogue, it's good writing, but it's just really annoying on subsequent playthroughs to deal with. Anyways, I had made it through X8 to fight Gabe, which was a complete pushover. I will say the crits with the Compliance Regulator do trivialize some of the fights, especially if you're using overcharged cells for that little bit of extra damage. I think it goes up to a whopping 11 instead of 8, but you know what, I'll take it literally anything I can get at this point. I went back to the think tank and sold off a bunch of stuff, realized that regular small energy cells were not going to cut it, so I was going to stock up on pretty much everything that I could to make overcharge cells. By the time I spent about 45 minutes just sitting here stocking up on ammo, the game crashed, and I had to do it all over again, but I amassed a whopping, 1,500 overcharge cells, which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really notice that much of a difference, but you know what, it made me feel better knowing that I was doing a whole 3 more damage to enemies, especially when I was being gang-banged by lobotomites and night stalkers at the same time. Then it was on to X13, which is my least favorite facility in this game, and the reason that I tagged lockpick as a skill. There's a door that you can lockpick that requires a lockpick skill of 50 that lets you pretty much skip 3/4 of the quest here, which I did after I spent like 5 minutes just killing the 3 Robo Brains that were right here, because this gun does piss all for damage. It's really bad for damaging enemies. I will say it's nice though that I can just kind of paralyze things, considering my luck was at 10, and not really have to deal with actually being shot, and that's pretty much the only good thing I can give this gun right now. I'm really not looking forward to doing Lonesome Road in the future with it, because I can just imagine trying to fight Marked Men, Death Claws, and fucking Ulysses with a gun that does 10 damage. It's not going to be fun. But moving on, by this point I was pretty much done with the DLC. All that was really left was for me to go deal with Mobius, and by extension the massive fucking Robo Scorpion that's right outside his lair. See, this fight was pretty much just like 5 minutes of me sitting here and shooting it, because for some reason I do like 3 damage per shot. I was doing not even 3 damage per shot. I was doing like 40 damage with a whole 30 round energy cell mag. I don't know what to call the thing that I insert into the gun. I don't know what the term is for that for a laser gun, all right? It's a magazine for a gun, but I don't know what it is for a laser gun. Fallout never explained this to me. So after spending 5 minutes doing that and like 400 fucking overcharged fusion cells, I was pretty much ready to beat the DLC. So I leveled up one last time, talked to my brain for a little bit, couldn't really pass any of the speech checks except for the energy weapons one because I didn't dump points into anything else, found out that the Compliance Regulator was insanely cheap to repair when I looked back at my recording. It was like 100 caps to repair like 30% of its durability, which is stupid. Took pretty much everything in my inventory that I had and started blasting all of the robots. So this went well to start with. I mean, I didn't die here or really take any damage because I drank like 48 different healing items and ate all of the food that I had. So I was pretty much instantly healing all of the damage that I had. It was really funny just watching them try to damage me, and I was basically invincible. Also, for some reason, the game started freaking out, and one of the robots was just kind of flying around the room in pieces. They weren't even dead, they were alive, just flying around the room. It was kind of terrifying. But with that, I beat Old World Blues with only the Compliance Regulator. This run honestly wasn't that bad. I really didn't enjoy having to go back to Honest Hearts and deal with all that again because my character was corrupted, but I'm just gonna ignore that and be happy that I beat another DLC with a pretty shitty weapon. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. I'm sure you guys will give me something to torture myself with in the future. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of you for showing the channel support. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.